Okay, this is kind of what you need to know about graphing in this class. You have this little sheet that serves as a guide. Okay. Basically, if I have a second power and there are no parentheses, it's called standard form, and the middle x is found by taking the opposite of b and dividing it by 2 times a. And then I'll get the middle x, and then I plus and minus 1 to find the other x's, and then I plug in on the calculator to find the y's. Okay, now if I have one parentheses and there's an x inside, but that entire parentheses is to the second power, it's in vertex form. Okay, that's what it's called. To find the middle x, we set the expression in the parentheses equal to 0, and we solve a little equation to find the middle. I say little because it's really easy to find. Plus minus 1 to the middle for the other x's, and plug in on your calculator to find y's. Okay, now if we have two separate parentheses, but there's an x inside each one, now even though you don't see a second power, x times x is x to the second power. So we set each parentheses, there's going to be two of them, equal to 0. We solve the little equations to find, and those find the first and third x. And then we'll have one x, a number here. Now to find the middle, we add the first and third and divide by 2. And then we plug in on the calculator to find the y's. Now, if there's no second power at all, this won't be a parabola. It'll be a line, okay? Now, how you graph a line depends on how it's set up. If we have y equals all by itself, we'll plug in 0, 1, 2 for x. But if x and y are on the same side together, we're not going to want to just plug in 0, 1, 2 because the y is not by itself. So it works better to replace the x with 0, solve for y, and then replace the y with 0, solve for x. And that's what's called finding the x and y intercepts. Okay, so now let's put this into action. Okay, so this is what you want to figure out. Do we have the second power there? Yes, we do. So it's one of these three. Okay, the second power is there. Now, my next question is, so it's a parabola, okay? And we have a positive first number, so it should look like that when I get it graphed. Now, is there a parentheses? No, so it wouldn't be vertex, and it wouldn't be this right here, by the way. That's known as factored form. So it's not vertex or factored. Those have to have parentheses. It would be right here, standard. Okay. Okay, so I make my XY table. And to find the middle x, we have opposite of b divided by 2a. Now, it's smart to write ax squared and bx so you know what to use when you're using the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. So I will be using this little formula, opposite of b divided by 2 times a. Okay, so x squared is the a number, and in front of the x to the first is the b number. Okay, so what's the opposite of b? Well, the opposite of plus 16 is negative 16, and then I take 2 times whatever a is, and a is 4. Okay, so I can multiply that, that's 8, and then I divide negative 16 by the product, by the 8, which is negative 2. Okay, so I got my middle x. Now I plus and minus 1 to the middle to find the other x's. So I add 1, it's negative 1. I'm just showing you what you do. And negative 3. It's kind of like a number line. It's between these two integers. Okay. All right, now you just plug in on your calculator to find the y's. Again, I will be showing it on both calculators, but I'll be doing every other one so I don't put the sleeper hold on people. Okay. So I will be replacing these x's here with parentheses, okay? And I'll be inserting first a negative 1 in. That finds what, since y equals all that, now I can plug in negative 1 to find what y is going to equal. Okay, so I've got 4 and then negative 1 to the second power plus 16 times negative 1 again and then plus 3, okay? That gives me negative 9. Okay, now if you're using this calculator, I'll do the -2 on this one. I go 4. If you got this, you can't worry about what's flashing on your screen. You got to punch the right buttons. Then before parentheses, you got to hit times, and then parentheses, -2, close it, and you take it to the second power with this key right here. Plus 16 times parentheses, and then we'll put -2 in. And then plus 3. Okay. That isn't right. 4 times parentheses, -2. I hate these calculators. That's why I wish everybody would have gotten. Plus 16 times parentheses, -2, plus 3, -13. Okay. And -13 is right. Okay, and I'll use this. So 4. I better get -9 if it's going to be a parabola. Okay, so 4 times parentheses, 3 negative, close it, hit your second power, plus 16 times parentheses, 3 negative, close it, plus 3, and that's -9. Okay, now you just go graph them, so -1, -9. I'm going to need to go by 2's this way, but I still go by 1's this way. So I go left 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 9. -2, -13, left 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, and then -3, -9, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 9, okay? And that is how you graph a second power parabola equation in standard form. Again, so it takes you right through the steps here, okay? And all right, ax squared plus bx, so you know what you're going to use for b and a. All right, now my next one, the second power's there, so it's going to be a parabola. We have the negative in front, so it's going to go like this. It's going to be upside down. Now there is a parentheses, so we know we're not using standard. Now, how many parentheses do you have? You just have one, okay? So it's in vertex form. We want to go with this one. Okay, so set up your table and then just read the directions. Okay, to find the middle x, you set the expression in the parentheses equal to 0, so x minus 3. You solve the little equation to find the middle x, okay? So plus 3, and that's 3. And then you add 1 and subtract 1 to the middle for the other x's. So I'm going to add 1 and subtract 1. Okay, now plug in on calculator to find the y. So you have -3, parentheses, and I'll be putting 4 in, 4 minus 3, close it, second power, plus 6, and I got 3. So y equals 3 if x is equal to 4. Okay, now I'll plug in the 3. So I have -3 first, and before I go to parentheses, I hit times, and then 3 minus 3, I close it, and then I hit my second power button, and then add this in, okay? So 3 negative times parentheses, now I go 3 minus 3, close it, hit second power, and then plus 6. Okay, I got 6. Okay, now this better be 3 as well. These two should match, okay? So -3 times parentheses 2 minus 3, close the parentheses in, hit the second power key, and plus 6, and that's 3. Okay, all right, 4, 3. So go right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and it is a parabola, just like I predicted it was going to be. Okay, I'm going to keep going here. Now, I do not have the second power, so it's not that, and it's definitely not that. So there's no second power, so it's going to be a line, okay? Now, how you graph it depends on how it's set up. Now, if you got the y equals in front, we're just going to plug in 0, 1, and 2 to get y's. But if the x and y are on the same side, we better go with the xy intercept 0, 0 chart. Well, the y's out front by itself, so it's going to work pretty nice if I just input 0, 1, 2 for x. Okay. Okay, so 2 times 0 minus 5, that's negative 5. 2 times 1 minus 5, negative 3 and negative 1. And these will not be the same because it's a line. Okay. So I stay in the middle and go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I go right 1 down 3. Okay, 2, negative 1. So I go 2 down 1. Okay. All right, and it's a line just like we said, put arrows on both sides. You don't need the ruler for the line. The ruler is only needed if you have 2 lines. You got to find out the intersection point. Okay, we're past that. Okay, now this one I do have a second power even though I don't see it. The reason why is because x, the product of x and x is x to the second power. So it's a parabola. There's a positive in the front, so there you go. Now it wouldn't be this because there's parentheses. And it wouldn't be this because there's more than just one parentheses. And I don't even see the second power. So it would be like this one. It'd be factored form. Okay, now you set each parentheses equal to 0. So x plus 3 can equal 0, or x minus 5 can equal 0. And then you solve little equations to find the first and the third. That's what this is going to do. So 0 minus 3 is negative 3. So that'll be the first, x. And then I plus 5, and then I get positive 5. That'll be the third x. So negative 3 and positive 5. Okay, and those are the first and third. Don't forget that. Now to find the middle, we add the first and third, and then divide that sum by 2. So I find the sum. That's 2. And then I always divide that sum by 2. You're always dividing by 2. And that equals 1. The reason you divide by 2 is because it finds halfway between these two. And plug in on your calculator to find the y's. But in factored form, the first and third y's are always going to end up as 0. I mean, you could plug them in, be my guess. 2 parentheses, negative 3 plus 3. Parentheses, negative 3 minus 5. And again, I get 0. Now, the reason I know it's 0 is if I take negative 3 plus 3, that's 0. And if one of the factors is 0, then the whole equation ends up as 0. Okay, plug the 1 in. If you got one of these, you know what to do. Pretty easy. You just put parentheses and you'll insert a 1 where x is at. So you got 2, and then you're going to put 1 plus 3. And then parentheses 1 minus 5. Okay. Negative 32. Again, those do end up with kind of vertexes that are way kind of out there. Okay, and if you got one of these, 2 times parentheses, 1 plus 3, close the parentheses, and you got to hit times again. Every time you come up on a new parentheses, you have to hit times. Parentheses, 1 minus 5. Okay, negative 32. Okay, so negative 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. That's one of the x-intercepts. And then 1, negative 32, so I'd count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 32. Okay, and then 5, 0, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then those parabolas, when it's in factored form, they end up being somewhat wide. Okay, now I got a couple on the next one. Okay, if you don't have a second power, if it's not a second power, it's a line. Okay, guaranteed. Now, we haven't done one of these in a while, okay? Now, the y is equal. You got y equals, so we want to use this table, but I'm not going to put 0, 1, 2 in because I'm going to put 0 in, but the 4 in the denominator means I would want to pick multiples of 4. So 0, 4, 8, okay? So negative 1/4 times 0 plus 3 is 3. Negative 1/4 times 4 plus 3 is 2. And then the next, in a line, it goes in a pattern, okay? So 0, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I go right 1, 2, 3, 4 up 2. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up 1. Okay, so it's a line. So watch out for those ones that have fractions. You just want to pick multiples of the denominator. Okay, this one again, no second power. It means we have a line, but this time putting just 3 numbers under the x is not going to do the job very well because the y is not by itself. There's x and y together, so I would want to use my 0, 0. So I write that out twice. I'm going to be crossing some things off. So if x is 0, 3 times 0 is 0, so you get, and then 6 times y equals 12. So if I divide by 6, that's 2. Okay, now if y is 0, 3 times x equals 12, so I divide by 3, and that's 4. Okay, so 0, 2, I stay, go up 2, and then I go back to the middle, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then I've got 2 on the other side. Okay, again, the second power is here, so it's a parabola. We have a negative in the front, so it turns it that way. And I got to decide what kind of parabola it is. Okay, it's either standard, vertex, or factored. Well, vertex, I don't have any parentheses, so that's a dead giveaway. We're going to use this one, okay? So I make my table. The middle x equals the opposite of the b divided by 2 times a. So that's what I'm going to write up here. And remember, the a is in front of the x to the second power, so that's negative 4. And the b is in front of the x to the first power, and that's positive 8. So over here, what's the opposite of b? Well, that's going to be negative 8. And I take 2 times whatever a is, which a is negative 4. So that gives me a negative 8 product. So I have negative 8 divided by negative 8 is positive 1. Okay? So that one is 0, 1, 2, but it ended up that way just by luck, not just, from the formula, not just by me picking it. So I plus 1, minus 1. Okay? I'll start with this calculator. So I've got 4 negative times parentheses 2, close that, and then raise it to the second power, plus 8 times parentheses, and then 2, then minus 3, that's negative 3. Okay, now with this calculator, I'll do it with the 1, so negative 4 times 1 to the second, plus 8 times 1, and then minus 3, so that's going to be 1. Then with 0, I'll go back to this. So 4 negative times parentheses 0, close it, second power, plus 8 times parentheses 0, close it, minus 3. Again, it's a parabola, so these need to be the same. So 2, negative 3, I go right 2, down 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 1, I go right 1, up 1. And then 0, negative 3. I'm going to stay in the middle, go down 3, and it looks just like I said it was going to look like. Okay, now this one, again, there is a second power because there's two x's. The product of two x's means the x would be to the second power, but don't multiply anything, okay? Okay, we don't, the front number, the very first number thing I see is positive, so it's going to look like that. Okay, and it would not be standard. That's without parentheses, and we have two of them, so it's not in vertex form. It's in factored form because there's two. The product of two x's means I have it factored form. Okay, so x, it's like F1, F2 pretty much with factored form. Okay, so x minus 3 equals 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. So at plus 3, I get 3 and negative 5. Okay. Now, I set them each equal to 0. Now, I solved the little equation, but those are my first and third. So 3, negative 5. Now, to find the middle, we add the first and the third and divide whatever that sum is by 2. So I add 3 to negative 5, and that's negative 2. And then divide that sum by 2, it gives me negative 1. Okay, and then it's just plug in to find the y's, because whenever the y is by itself, it works good to get your x's and just plug them in. So 4 times parentheses 3 minus 3, close it, times parentheses 3 plus 5, and that is going to be 0, because in factored form, those are always your zeros. Okay, negative 1, we'll plug that in. So 4, you don't have to hit times on these, okay, but on the other ones you do. So negative 1 minus 3, close it. And then I will be putting negative 1 plus 5, close that up. Okay, I got negative 64. Again, that's right. It's kind of far out, but that's okay. So 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And then negative 1, negative 64, I'll go left 1, and then I'll probably need to go by tens down because we're at negative 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 64. Okay, and then negative 5, 0, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and you have 6 problems. One thing I'll warn you, this is a line and the y is by itself, so you just want to pick 3 numbers for x, but you have a fraction, so you do want 0, but instead of 0, 1, 2, it's 0, 2, and 4, multiples of 2. That one would be a 0, 1, 2 line, and that would be a 0, 0 line. And then you have the other 3 are parabolas. Okay, use your guide that I made you to help you.